Good morning, everyone in the 5 continents. Today is the 2nd of May, 2021, and today we have a very special guest from Lima, Peru, Isabel Tabja. Thank you very much for being here on a Sunday morning, because you could be sleeping, relaxing, watching TV, but you decided to be here. Thank you, Isabel. Thank you, Gloria in Ecuador, Ruben in Peru, Roxy, Micaela in Peru, Rana in England, Rana Bilal Anwar in England, and Juan Thinking Experiences in Colombia. Welcome, everyone. Okay, number one, let me say a few words before we start. And this is our presentation. Rana, could you help me with this first quote, please? Read it out. Again? Yeah, read this quote, please, by Paulo.
I cannot be a teacher without exposing who I am, Paulo Freire.
Do you agree or disagree?
That's interesting, actually.
To be or not to be?
Yeah, to be or not to be. You're putting on a you're putting us on a difficult question on a Sunday afternoon.
It's to wake you up, Rana.
It's not waking me up, it's shaking me up, actually. You know what I mean?
That was the purpose. Next one, Rana. Sorry, Raj.
While we teach, we learn. I love this one, actually, because if I'm not learning, how can I be teaching?
Right, right. And look at the faces of these poor teachers. Next one, Roxy.
Teachers have 3 loves: love of learning, love of learners, and the love of bringing the first 2 loves together. Lovely.
Lovely, right?
Lovely one.
Some teachers have 4 loves or 5.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Right, Rana? Rana is speechless today.
He's already shook up. Don't shake him up more.
Because you're putting lots of pun on everything, you know, I mean, a dual meaning, a paradoxical meaning for everything.
Next one, Juan in Colombia.
There is no recipe to be a great teacher. That's what is unique about them. Totally right.
Yeah.
I think it's like that, yes?
So we are unique.
We are unique, everyone.
Okay, who else is presenting this month of May, dear Isabel? Next week, Mother's Day here in Peru and many other countries. Ovidio Matthew from Romania will be talking about literature and its importance in teaching English. And then we'll have Anthony Michael. He lives in, I don't remember what city here in Peru, but he's from Nigeria. And he will be talking about this interesting topic. And then at the end of the month, Marisa Perez Cañado, as I have already said, she will be talking about a secret topic. I don't know what she will be talking about.
A mysterious one.
Yes, and this is the only photograph I have with you, Isabel. It was 3 years ago, I guess, 4 years ago.
This is not possible. We only have one picture. That's not possible.
Yeah, that's not possible. We need more photographs.
I will be back to Piura very soon, I promise.
Okay, and this is the great work that you do everywhere here in Peru, talking, publishing the exams of Cambridge University and encouraging people to take them. And I love this photograph, sorry, but could you explain this to us, please? I didn't know that you belong to what's the name of this saga of movies?
Yeah, that's
Harry Potter.
Yeah, Harry Potter. Yes, that's an event at the residence of the ambassador. This was the first Harry Potter's book night, and the pandemic came, so we couldn't have one on 2021. But I'm really a fan. But yeah, we wanted to be present, so we had all the preparation, everything was ready, but no one knew that I was going to dress up. So it was a surprise for everyone. I mean, also in Cambridge, because they didn't know.
Where did you get the costume?
Well, the dress. Please don't the dress and the shoes are mine.
Okay.
But the cloak and the hat, I rented. Yes.
Okay, let me say a few
And I
words.
also had a wand. I had a wand that day.
Great. You'll be showing it next presentation. Well, let me say a few words about dear Isabel Tabja, an expert. Oh my God, I have some. Okay, an expert in educational management. She currently works as senior manager of business development in Andes for Cambridge Assessment English. She has extensive experience in management and interinstitutional coordination at the national and international level in the academic, cultural, and business fields. She began her career in the language sector as cultural director of the British Peruvian Cultural Association. Later, as center exams manager, she built an ambitious program for SENATI with the use of the BULATS test, which was expanded nationwide. This last experience gave rise to her interest in public policies around education. She has a bachelor's degree and a degree in education. She has a specialty in project management and quality from the Universidad Católica. Isabel is certified as a project manager professional by the Project Management Institute and is a master's in business administration from Universidad de Lima. So welcome, dear Isabel, and thank you for giving us part of your beautiful and precious time.
Thank you so much. I'm going to share my screen.
Please do, please do.
Today, I want to thank very much this invitation because it's an opportunity to share things that I've been seeing lately. Please, whatever I'm saying today, take it as my personal take. So what I'm going to share today is my very own personal point of view. It's not that I'm talking today on behalf of Cambridge. I'm talking today on behalf of myself. So it's going to be challenging for me. And my proposal was to talk about standards, no? And the first question that I'd like to propose has to do with this video. I'm pretty sure everyone knows this lady. Yes.
Yes, of course. She's my contact in Facebook.
Pretty sure. I'm going to play the sound. Just let me know if you can hear. Could you hear that?
No, not yet.
No. So what should I do? Should I
when
share again?
When you share, there is a small circle down that says share the sound of your computer. So you have to click on it.
So let me try again, okay?
Yeah, when you share, there is a little circle down on the left or to the left, and you have to click it saying share the sound of your computer.
No.
No?
Down left corner.
Yeah, I see it now. Okay.
Okay.
So here it is. So let's go again. Okay. So here I am. Can you see the full screen? Yes?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go now.
Okay.
Gracias. ¿Lista para tu entrevista en español?
Sí.
Ok. Cuéntame un poquito de tu personaje en la película Contagion y cómo se siente ser el personaje que contagia al mundo con una epidemia.
Pues el papel es un poquito fuerte porque yo soy una mujer que ha viajado a Hong Kong para su trabajo y después tiene contacto con este virus que es muy, muy peligroso. Y entonces cuando ella regresa a los Estados Unidos, ella es la primera persona quien ha cogido este virus y mucha gente se muere y es una responsabilidad horrible, pero el guión fue muy interesante y muy inteligente y fue por eso que tenía interés en la película.
Okay, so we all know that she's a native English speaker and she's speaking in Spanish. So my question is she bilingual? Please open your
question.
mics. Feel free to open your mics.
First of all, we need to know what the right definition of bilingual is.
Aha, so that's the key point. Exactly.
Okay,
that's the key point.
without knowing that, I would say that not necessarily. Maybe she only knows that part of the speech, but that doesn't mean that she's bilingual. I don't know, my personal point of view. I don't know, Rana, Ruben, Raj, have something to say?
Well, what I have to say is that what she demonstrated right now was one language, and I don't understand that, so I don't know if she's bilingual.
Okay.
Of course, but
Interesting.
not knowing, would you say she sounded like very secure what she was saying?
Yes, very confident.
Yeah. When she was speaking, because I don't understand, she appears confident in what she's saying.
Of course.
I have a question. Miss Isabel. Yeah, but when the person maybe is called bilingual, it's obvious that she can maybe speak two or to use two language. Or they maybe has proficiency in reading or another more abilities. That is the virtual condition for this name. Is she maybe or is she able to speak in two language?
Gloria, thank you for that comment. So in fact, what we discover here is that there are plenty of views around bilingualism.
Yeah, and sorry, as far as I know, because I don't speak Spanish, so I'm not sure whether it was all right or not. But if I see bilingualism on the parameters of pragmatics, then probably I would conveniently say no, because it might be just a chunk of some speech, which probably she prepared to give that. But as Jaime said, probably it's good to have a good definition of, and kind of a benchmark of bilingualism to find out whether someone is bilingual or not.
Great, thank you so much, Rana. And yeah, everybody in this virtual room is right. In the end, it depends on how we propose this bilingualism to be. We define, we say, we are going to call bilingual this and that. We are going to say that a program is bilingual if we do this and that. And that is what happens when we have a policy in place. And this is why, Jaime, to go back to your original question, policies are very important because somehow they define what bilingual is going to be in a certain country. And we can work towards that definition instead of working into different approaches, which is what happens when we don't have a public policy in place, no?
Right.
So Isabel, may I raise a question? So in Canada, if they say government employees need to be bilingual, it's English and French.
Sure,
Yeah.
for sure, but it's a public policy,
Okay.
and probably they have a certain level in the common framework of reference established. So this is what we're looking for. What I like to say is that public policies need to be in place so that we understand what bilingualism is in each of our countries. Definitely, yes.
That's very important.
Thank you very much, Raj. She's my cousin. Her name is Sandra. She's married to Dan. They both live in the US, but Sandra is my cousin and she's Peruvian as I. And she's a native Spanish speaker. So when the twins were born, they decided that my cousin were going to talk to my nephews in Spanish And Dan was going to talk to my nephews in English because he is an English speaker and she is a Spanish speaker. So the twins were growing up, and then my cousin receives this a quote from her mother-in-law.
Oops.
Quite discouraging.
Yes.
Very up to date.
Do you agree?
This it's 10-year-old.
I don't.
100
Well,
years.
I don't know.
Quote.
I don't know if to agree or not to agree because I'm not that expert, but we need to think about it. I don't know what the experts would say about it. I have not the faintest idea. Anybody knows?
And secondly, I think, we are talking about this definition, which is almost 100 years before, 1926. So I'm sure there might have been lots of development by now in this field, which probably don't agree with this definition or something, because this definition dated back in 1926, which is almost 100 years before.
Sure. It has to do with lots of things, the development on psychology, development on knowing how people learn, but more than that, what I want to show here is there's always been, and there always will be, a negative approach to bilingualism, and we have to live with that. We as English teachers know that this is going to happen, and it can happen in any institution. You might go to a school where the headmaster has never learned English and is the headmaster of the school. And when you go and you say, listen, we could improve our English program, he might tell you things like, no need, I am the headmaster and I don't know English. I never needed it. So that things can happen, no? So we have to be ready. Sorry about that. This is me talking in Spanish, but what I'm talking here is about impact. And what is this little boy doing?
Sumo wrestling.
Yes, sumo wrestling. So there is an impact. When we have an English program in place can be small, like in the classroom and in the school, but also can be big, like in society. But impact can also be negative and positive. When negative, when I have a program that is only addressed to, for instance, a assessment. This is what happens with PISA exams. I don't know if in any of your countries they do PISA exams, but in grades where PISA is going to be taken, teachers focus only to prepare students to mark well in PISA tests. When you teach towards an assessment, then that's a negative impact of assessment. But when you teach with the purpose of facilitating learning, and as a consequence of that learning, your students sit an exam and do well, then that's the positive impact of assessment. Towards an assessment, then that's a negative impact of assessment. But when you teach, I have an echo. I don't know
maybe you should turn down the volume of your computer.
Okay. If I turn it down, I won't be able to hear you. If that's okay.
Yeah. So don't do that. Okay, let me turn mine down.
I have an echo.
Maybe you should turn down the volume of your computer.
If I turn it down, I won't be able to hear you. If that's Okay, let me continue. Sorry about that. Okay, so one more thing that I'd like to point out about standards is that in language, standards have measurements and descriptors for different skills. And we have to address each of the skills that are in the descriptors. Mostly we attack reading, listening, writing, and speaking. Is that enough? I'd say yes, but of course that will depend on you guys and what you are considering as standards. So that's something also to take into account when talking about standards, okay? So how we bring down to earth the standards, because standards are like there and we have to bring them down to earth. We bring them down to earth using what we call the can-do statements. And here I have a set of can-do statements, and I'd like you to help me to identify the one that is B2. If you can help me, you can either use your microphones or you can use the chat.
I'm afraid of speaking because of the echo.
No, speak, please.
B2, did you say B1?
B2, which one is B2?
That would be FCE.
Yeah, that would be FCE, yes. Now called B2 first.
Yeah, B2 first, just checking.
Yeah, feel free to use whatever the chat or the mics.
I guess everyone feels like if they were being assessed.
Oh, okay. No, don't worry. Let's do it together. Okay,
yeah,
I'm going to
let's
show
make
you.
mistakes. Let's make mistakes.
No, but that's fine. Sorry about that. Didn't mean to challenge you that much. Don't feel uncomfortable, please. No. Okay, so what I'm going to do is show you directly.
Number one, I think it's for me.
Number one, Ruben says, Isabel, number one.
Thank you, Ruben. Thank you so much. Thank you.
I was thinking in number 2.
Number 2 says Raj.
Thank you, Raj.
No, that's me, Irma.
Oh, sorry, Irma. Thank you so much.
That's okay. That's okay.
Okay, in fact, it's number 3. In fact, it's number 3. But that's fine. That's fine, because all of these are can-do statements. And what we have is that number 1, and this is why Ruben chose it, because he saw that in the list, this was the most difficult one. That's a C2. And this is why, Irma, you chose the second one, because you might have said to yourself, like, okay, so the most difficult one, no, that's not it, because she's giving us a list. So you decided for the second one. But yeah, in fact, it's number 3. So what is interesting is, because now we have these very down-to-earth descriptors, we know what is expected from our students. And if we tell them, they also will know what is expected from the exercises that we do in the classroom. And moreover, if they know, let's say that they are preparing for an assessment, they know how deeply they are going to be assessed. So knowing the can-dos is something that I would for sure recommend, not only when we're looking into a certification, no, also when we are looking into teaching. Then, moving forward. From my perspective, we have 3 pillars. We have building teaching capacity, where we need standards. We have alignment to the Common European Framework of our English programs. And we have communicative teaching and assessment using standards. So that's from my perspective. And I'm going to start with the alignment to the standards of our English programs. And this is how I see the teaching cycle. First, I think we set the goals. And these goals, because they belong to an institution, might also have things like values, taking care of the environment, or maybe living in peace, or so it's not only English, no, it's the goals that I want as a teacher, no? Then we plan, and then we work on implementing the plan. Then we monitor progress. We want to know what's happening with what we are implementing. So for that progress monitoring, we introduce assessment. That's natural. We want to know what's happening. And then from that assessment, we rescue what we call feedback. And this feedback will, of course, tweak here and there our plan and or our implementation. But this will mean nothing if we don't set the goals according to international standards, because otherwise we don't know what we're doing. We don't know where we are heading our efforts towards, okay? So my recommendation could be, imagine this is a school that has 5 or 3, or in this case, 3 hours of English. Can we do this in 4th grade, pre-A1 starters in 6th grade, A1 movers in 9th grade, A2 key? If we have 5 hours, maybe we can do starters in 2nd grade or 3rd grade, movers in 4th grade and 5th or 5th grade, and so on. Do you think that in 11th grade we can expect a B2 level?
I don't think so, because of my experience as an oral examiner, there are some, in SPY there is an FCE for schools. There are some topics or some structures which students do not know how to use. I don't know. It's my personal point of view. I don't know about any other people.
Feel free, please.
Yeah, to express your opinion.
I will say that most of the time, considering only the hours, the amount of hours that you are including in your lesson plans, even though it's 3 or 5 hours, it's a mistake to think that because you add up the hours, you're going to get the result that you're planning or that you're expecting. Because along the way, that is not considering, that's my personal opinion, the process of learning of each of the students. Students go according to their possibility of learning, and that's not necessarily according to the amount of hours. So yeah, you can be a very good teacher, you can plan, you can have your classes, your students can do the best, but not necessarily the numbers of hours will guarantee that I'm gonna get into that result.
Thank you, Irma.
My idea.
Arturo, Phil, I guess he has something to say too. Arturo?
Yeah, good morning, everybody. Yeah, well, I'm a true believer that the more hours you have, it helps. And I come from a school which is a bilingual school, and we were like 72 students in the classroom, and all of us ended up school speaking very fluent English. So I believe that it's the number of hours. It's another thing is the environment. Another thing is how young you start learning the language or acquiring the language more than learning it. That's my belief. I have 72 or 71 friends, and all of them speak English. They have different rhythms of learning. I agree with that. In the environment, we were surrounded by foreigners. We were, I don't know, everything was spoken in English. We were expected not to speak Spanish, not even in the recess moment or breaks, we were even fined if we did. So I think it's a system that has to be around it. But it's not easy. I agree. And with 5 hours or less, it's quite difficult. No?
And what about, sorry, Isabel, Arturo, and what about the teachers you had?
Well, yeah, that's another issue, Jaime. All of them were native speakers. All of them were native. Yeah, that helps too. I agree with that. That helps.
Okay, thank you.
And they were teachers, huh, Jaime?
Yes,
Teachers. They were
not,
teachers.
Not foreign.
No.
foreigners
Como
who
decíamos,
just-
no. All of them were certified
Okay.
teachers. No, just-
Okay, that made a difference.
That made the difference, definitely.
Yeah, thank you, Arturo.
Welcome.
Okay, sure. But as Irma is saying, and as Arturo is saying, we have different experiences, but in the end, we really need to plan. How we plan? We plan according to the media. We don't plan for those learners that have a slower pace, but we also don't plan for those learners that have a more fast pace. We plan for those in the middle. This is how we should plan. Yes, somehow we need to plan in hours, and the reason for planning in hours is because a methodology or curriculum has a certain number of activities that I implement in a certain period of time, and this is why we plan according to the number of hours. But in the end, we have to have expectations. We have to have expectations of what to achieve, and this is why we need some sort of organization. But what I want to point out here is, and this, you might have seen this if you have had the experience of looking into how schools buy materials. Here in Peru, primary ends in 6th grade. In 6th grade, it's the end of primary. And for some strange reason, when students get to 7th grade or primero de secundaria, whatever the name, when they get to 7th grade, I don't know why teachers take them back again to A1.
Yes.
And that's a huge mistake. Huge.
Yeah.
Please don't do that. Students have already 6 years of learning.
Yeah.
Don't take them back, please. So that's one thing that I'd like to propose to all of you, no? Then, sure, sorry. Okay, then sure, we know that we are digital. Please keep calm. We will get back somehow and sometime to sort of hybrid or back to face-to-face. We will get back. But please, please, please align your goals and your expectations to standards, because that's how we have a more clear idea or where we are going to. Okay, so some of the best practices that I'd like to share with you are that it's better when we align the program to the values of the institution and the profile of the graduate. Let's say that I am teaching in a school or an institution that is looking into, like the one that Arturo studied, they are looking into graduates that are bilingual, fluent English speakers, then we have to settle the program so that they can achieve that. We are looking into citizens that are responsible politically and environmentally and economically, then we need to include those topics into what we teach, no? And so on. We also need to establish achievement and expectations results by grade. It's not that I set as an expectation for that certain student that is a very fast learner. No, I set the goal for the grade. Of course, I will have different learners with different how can I say, abilities, no, born abilities. But then those that learn faster can help those that need more help to move forward. and always in alignment with international standards. How to take those international standards down to earth using the can-do statements. Also align the curriculum to that you're expecting. Don't do something in the curriculum and then do something different in the classroom. That's not the ideal situation. And as Arturo was mentioning, the more the exposure to the language, probably the more they're learning. And because you're using technology, try to give them resources that they can use on their own. And yes, we need to perform benchmarks and measure what's happening. Now, building capacity, because that was one of the issues mentioned here in the conversation. Of course, if I'm going to teach English, I need professionals, teachers that are licensed teachers, but with a certain domain of the language, because that's what they are going to teach. I have to master the topic that I'm teaching, no? And when we think about professional development, I don't know why we always think about money. That's natural. We all do. That's sure. We think about money. Is it coming with my professional development? Sometimes, yes. But we know we are teachers and sometimes don't. But despite of this fact, please be passionate about your own development too. When we talk about professional development, we also think about being famous. We want to be rich and famous. Sure, we might be famous, but if we achieve to be famous in our own schools, then I'm happy. So professional development should be based on your own expectations, but also on the expectations of the kind of industry you want to be in. Let's say that your goal, because at the very beginning, Jaime was making me these questions about what would you like to do next in your life? Are you thinking about writing a book? Let's say that I'm thinking about writing a book. I should be right now looking into some sort of course about how to write a book. So let's think of our own personal goals and try to build our professional development upon that personal goal. And also, if I'm thinking to be in a certain industry, let's say that I love my school, so my goal is to become the headmaster. Okay, let's do all I need to become that headmaster that I'm looking into be. So let's study some administration course. Let's be very responsible with teachers and with parents. Let's become a leader. Let's work on my leadership. So all those things can be things that we think about. Mentoring is also interesting. Talk to someone that you admire into your friends or your contacts in social media. Talk to them. Let them mentor you. So
that's exactly, Isabel, what we do every Sunday. Now we are talking and learning from you.
Hi, lindo. No, I'm just sharing. I hope it's useful, but this
it is.
Just sharing. So going back to the proposal and thinking about the proposal, of course, if I am a language teacher, I need to have language. I need to have a certain proficiency in the language that I'm teaching. And my best recommendation is that for primary, no matter the level that I'm teaching, no matter if I'm teaching pre-A1, I have to be minimum B1. Yes. Minimum B1. Yeah. But why if I'm only teaching the colors? Because you want to develop professionally, and all the courses and all the articles and all the academic literature is going to be in English. And to have a minimum understanding of a webinar, of a professional meeting, you will need a minimum of B1.
That's true.
So B1 is the minimum. Would I recommend to have my natives in the early grades? Why not? Why not? The younger you learn, the longer you acquire the language, the more flexible your neuronal connections are going to be, and the more options or the more possibilities of being fluent when you're older are going to happen. So my advice is, please, if you are in a position where you have to hire people, do not hire teachers that are below B1.
Yes. And let me say something, Isabel. I don't know if the audience will agree with me or not, but there are some people who think that teachers who have the least experience should be in the basic or can be in kindergarten, when for me, the most experienced teacher should be in the lowest levels, because as you said, they are the ones that should have the minimum. And if they have more than the minimum, that's much better, because they will teach in the right way. By the way, Isabel, here we have Carmen. Hello, Carmen, in England. Carmen Castro. Hello. She's living in UK, I guess, right, Carmen? By the way, Isabel, here we have Carmen. Hello, Carmen, in England.
Hi.
Carmen Castro.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, Carmen. Would you like to say something about what Isabel said?
Yeah, I have a technical problem here. I'm listening to Isabel twice. Hi. But anyway, yes, thank you very much.
Hello, Carmen. Would you like to say something about what Isabel said?
It's very interesting.
I have a technical problem here. I'm listening to Isabel twice.
Hi. But anyway, yes, thank you very much.
It's very interesting. I have a technical problem here. I'm listening to Isabel twice. Hi. But anyway, yes, thank you very much. It's very interesting. I have a technical problem here. I'm listening to Isabel twice.
Hello, yes, can you listen to me? What I would like to say is that I'm very interested to know that about the policy with regards to the standards at the moment in Peru, at least.
Can you listen to me? What I would like to say is that I'm very interested to know that about the policy with regards to the standards at the moment in Peru, at least. Can you listen to me? What I would like to say is that I'm very interested to know that.
Got your question, Carmen. Got your question. Thank you. So good to see you, by the way. So good to see you. Sadly, it's not a public policy anymore. So there are some actions that are taking place, important actions, but we don't have a public policy anymore because there was a regulation over what is and what is not a policy, and sadly what we had didn't comply with those new regulations. So I'm pretty sure that the ministry is working again into building a policy with all the conditions to stay as a policy, yes. But yeah, that's that. But however, as I say, actions are taking place. And of course, those actions have to do, the actions that the ministry is taking have to do with teacher development and have to do with building capacity, meaning teaching English to English teachers that do not have the proficiency level to random sessions. Of course, that's the biggest action at the moment. So, so as we were saying, the minimum to hire a teacher should be B1. Let's say that we don't have other possibilities than hiring people that is non-native. This would be my advice, meaning that a teacher should be in, let's say, a higher level of the framework to be able to help his students. However, a teacher is not a key factor in terms of the teacher facilitates learning. If I am really a motivator, it might happen that my students end speaking better than I do, or knowing more grammar than I do, or writing much better than I do, because in the end, remember that what we do is we help students to develop those skills that they already have in Spanish into English. This is what we facilitate. And coming back to this, if I am a teacher and I'm teaching B2 first, and I know and I have very clear idea of the can-do statements, and I know that these can-do statements do not happen in Spanish, will I be able to make them happen in English? Probably not.
No way.
So we have to be very clear with the headmaster or with the coordinators, and we have to work together. The communication area has to get involved. Teachers of language have to be involved, even if they teach Spanish. So this is a school commitment, a commitment of the community. It's not only, no, you're the English teacher and this is your business. No. So we have to be very careful when we do that. And this is why this using the standards is more than important. And then, of course, I'm proposing here some methodology certifications also, because we need to be professional. So if we are not teachers, or if we are teachers but not from the specialty of English, then TKT is a good thing to have. And if I'm teaching primary, TKTYL is a good thing to have. If I'm teaching secondary, then TKT clearly is a good thing to have. Then we have the new CELT-P and CELT-S primary that are very interesting courses, very serious courses, 8 months, 9 months courses that help me develop my teaching abilities, also involving not only theory, but also classroom observation. So I will have my mentor or my tutor coming to my school to see what I'm doing, to see how I'm performing as a teacher. And of course, the CELTA and the Delta. So ideally, this would be the journey of an English teacher looking into develop his professional life, no? And then, of course, we also have webinars all over all the time. I'm here presenting the webinars from Cambridge because those are the ones that I know the more. And we also have MOOCs. And I remember Carmen precisely talking about Open University and how much you can get from these MOOCs. You can even develop a full professional career only based in MOOCs. So my advice is go to FutureLearn, go to Coursera, go to all these platforms offering open, massive courses online. Best practices, please give sustainability to the program, looking into teacher development. Look at the impact that a teacher well prepared will have into what happens in the classroom, and promote teaching development, promote professional development. And finally, the communicative teaching and assessment. To start with, and going back to standards, if we want to grade these apples 1 to 6, being 1 the lowest and 6 the highest, what would you say?
Three.
Arturo says 3.
Sure.
Anyone else?
I will say 4.
4.
Yeah,
I
think
will say 2.
almost 3.
I wouldn't assign a grade because I haven't tasted it.
Okay, so
Very good,
your
Edison.
assessment would be based on flavor, Edison. Am I right?
Very good.
Yes, I would like, because that's only the external appearance. As many things around. So you need to taste it in order to know what it really is like. So I wouldn't. So that's the way. The same thing with programs. So they can sell you a beautiful program, a beautiful MOOC, a beautiful anything plan, but it's just the outside thing that you have. You need to have like a demo class or something that shows you a bit of what it's going to be the course like. The same as any kind of food. You just, okay, we are attracted by what we see, but what makes us go back is when we taste it or we smell it.
Just like Peruvian food, Edison, right?
Yes, okay. I love Peruvian and Ecuadorian. The Ecuadorian first, Peruvian the second.
Okay. Thank you for taking part in your last meeting, dear Edison.
Well, it's like judging the book by the cover. You know, if we're just looking at the appearance and making something without knowing more information, is what I hear Edison say.
Yeah, that's true.
But more than that, we don't have a scale. I mean, we don't have a standard. Let's say that we are assessing only the exterior appearance. Are we talking about shape? Are we talking about color? Are we talking about color and shape? Are we talking about size? We don't know if this one is small or big. So we really need standards when we want to assess something. And this is quite important because when we're teaching and when we are assessing, we need to know where we are going in all the aspects. And let me go back, let me move forward. What makes a good testing? This is the balance of the 4 things that we have to take into consideration when we're looking into an external assessment. We need to look into validity, practicality, reliability, impact. But when we are looking into our own assessment, we also have to look at least into validity, reliability, and impact. It's not possible that we have, let's say, 4 sections of math 4, let's say, and then in one math 4, teachers are teaching something different from the other one, or are marking something different from the other. We have to standardize. We have to do more or less the same for more or less the same levels. So this is key. Then talking about validity, we have to be really careful about the construct of the questions we work with our students. Let's say that I am working in a reading comprehension test, and the question that I develop is a question of knowledge and not precisely from the reading, then the construct is not correct. So we have to be very, very careful when we do our own assessment, because impact is the problem. If I make the wrong type of assessment, my students could be, I mean, either could they think that they know more than they do, or that they perform better than they do, or the contrary, which would have been very sad, no? Being very, very, very good at what they do and marking not so well in the exams, no? So I have here 2 photos, a chef tasting and people tasting. They are all tasting food, though, though in the case of the people, they are in a restaurant doing a marriage between wine and food. And here we have a chef tasting the food. So when do a chef taste the food?
During the process, while cooking,
while preparing,
to check while preparing, right, Raj? To know if it needs more salt, more pepper.
During the whole process, also when it's ready before going out, no?
Yes, of course.
Okay, this is ready to serve, no?
Yeah.
However, when do clients taste the food?
At the end.
When it's ready.
It's ready.
When it's ready.
So we as teachers need to do both assessments. We need to assess during the process, and then we have to.
It's formative and summative. It's a formative and summative evaluation assessment.
Yes, yes, Edison, sure. And but then what I'm trying to show you here is that we have to move our students out of the school to be tested by someone else, to be tested by an assessment board. Like here, it's not us, the ones who prepare the food, tasting the food. We are taking the food out to someone else to test it. Yes? So ideally, in a situation where we can, or where it's available, we have to do our own assessment, progressive and summative, as Edison was saying, so at the beginning and at the end, before taking the food out to the clients, no, that's going to be the summative, and then take them out for an examination board, an international examination board, so that they can be assessed.
Yeah.
Let's say I have a problem with my leg. First, I'm going to go to the doctor and he will look at my leg. And probably next step will be, Isabel, go for an X-ray. So the X-ray would be the next step. And after the X-ray, what would be the next step? Probably a computerized, what's the name of these, sorry?
Tomography.
Ecography.
Tomography.
Ecography.
Tomography, yes, tomography. So physical, X-ray, tomography. Isn't this the same? Isn't that each of these, aren't they exams? Yes, they are. But one is very external, the other one is in more depth, and the other one is really, really deep. So this is also a characteristic of exams. We can have a placement, we can have a multi-level test, or we can have a level test, where every single question is at the level you think you are, or the level that you want to assess your students for. So that's also something to take into account. Not every test is for the same purpose, okay? So moving forward, here I have a task. I send a message on the phone to a friend. This is the message, and I have these alternatives. So my question is not what is the right question, the right answer. My question is if this is a communicative task or not. What would you say?
Anyone?
For me, it is.
Sure it is. Of course it is, Arturo. And why it's that? Because this is a real life conversation with a context. We know someone is going to a concert, that is someone buying tickets. So there is a context, and this is very, very like to real life, no? It's communicative. Now here I have two tasks. One is more authentic than the other. One is most communicative than the other. Can you tell me which one, if it's A or B?
B.
For me, it's B, definitely. It's in context.
Exactly,
Yes.
exactly.
I agree.
Totally. So here a grammar task. Which is more communicative?
Letter C.
Yes, letter C, that's right.
The ones read the text, highlight the present perfect, we convert the sentence. C.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Involves interaction, involves conversation.
Very tricky,
Yes.
this one. Very tricky, because usually I'm not talking into present continuous. This is not a natural way to communicate myself. However, if you say, hey, go away, Tim. So I would say none. I would say none. So when we choose our tasks, we have to be very, very, very careful. Try to put them all in context. And going back to impact, what we want when we have an assessment going on, we want to look into how the English learning is progressing, what are the strengths and the weaknesses of my students, and why not my own? What the classroom needs for practice, what's motivating me as a teacher, because if I'm not motivated, then I'm not going to teach very well. And what's the learner's motivator? And these are the results of an impact study that took place in Peru, and I had the chance to help in the conduction of this impact study. And we asked teachers teaching with the communicative approach and then doing exams that have a communicative approach, whether if there was some change in the way that they were preparing their classes. And they said yes. In fact, they were balancing more the 4 skills because now they knew that the students were going to be assessing the 4 skills, so they had a better balance of tasks. And then also they said that they felt that their teaching was so much more effective, and that they have now a better plan and a better structure that helps students to learn more, and also that the quality of the homeworks was better. And we also asked students how were their feelings, and the teacher said that they felt that they were able to give more feedback to students, and that they were able to modify their teaching towards taking care of the weaknesses of students. And going back to the beginning, high quality exams tell how well students are doing in their classroom, but also is a mirror of what's happening in the classroom. So this would be all from me today, and I hope it's been useful.
Yeah, thank you so much, dear Isabel. All the information you have given to us is really important. And now I would like to hear some people making comments about this very relevant information about professional development, assessing, evaluating not only students, but also ourselves, which is, I guess, the most important. We are always evaluating and assessing students, but I guess when you were making the first question and I told you, well, we feel afraid to give the wrong answer. It's because we are human beings, and that is something that I always mention. Let's not forget, we are human beings just like the students. If they feel afraid, sorry, if we feel afraid, they also feel afraid. If we don't want to make mistakes, they don't want to make mistakes either. So it's the same thing. So thank you very much, Isabel, for your time and your expertise. And let's hear some comments or questions the audience has. Anybody, please? Gloria, Raj, Roxy, Micaela, Carmen in the USA, in England, Arturo, Edison, Juan, Rana. Yeah, Rana, sorry, Rana had a question many minutes ago, right, Rana? Okay. Thank you. Rana, he's been waiting for a long time.
No, that's all right. That's all right. Yeah, that's all right. It's okay. Yeah. Thank you, Isabel. Thank you very much for a very detailed and informative sessions regarding standards and quality and public policies and everything. Because my doctorate is more related to public policies and quality assurance in education, especially in EFL settings. So I was just thinking to ask one thing. I mean, okay, we talk about standards a lot. We talk about where we are going, which I do understand. But when we talk about policies and when we talk about making policies, I think this is my personal opinion that probably we should think about from where we are coming. I mean, to make it very student-centered curriculum or learning objectives. So do we relate, like in your context, do we have a system of going a needs analysis which could be reflected in the policy making of EFL or ESL or TESOL classes? Because in my understanding of teaching in England is that we emphasize a lot on needs analysis from where we are coming. And then we are going towards achieving those standards in our broader multicultural setting and all those things. So yeah, I mean, if I rephrase it, I mean, in your context, especially in Peruvian or Colombian or South American context, do we have a system of needs analysis which we can incorporate in our language learning policy making?
Very good question. Thank you, Rana.
That's a super interesting question, and there's been attempts to have it, but making a baseline, Rana, is quite expensive, and most of our governments are not willing to devote any budget to that activity, that because they don't value it. I mean, it's not that they don't value it. Let me put this also in context. When you're a government and you develop a public policy, what you want is quick wins to show the community, to show your votants that you've done something that has a quick consequence, that has achieved something very quickly. So this is what is happening here, that most of the budget goes to specific actions that might be quick wins instead of going to the very beginning to draw a baseline and decide which are the real needs. And I don't know if this is a problem only of our countries or this is a worldwide problem. But if I know politicians, and I think we all know them a little bit, I'd say this is a global problem. Yes.
I mean, if I...
Sorry, go on, Rana.
Yeah, I mean, sorry, I mean, if I see based upon my experience of working in different countries and working with different governments, when I do evaluative studies of all these English programs, I mean, the biggest difference which I find is there's a big gap between the needs and the wants. Mostly curriculum we develop or we try to achieve the standards on the basis of wants, that, okay, I want my child to learn English. You know what I mean? But do my child really have the need to learn language? You know what I mean? This is, I think this is very important when we talk about policies and when we talk about policy making. But you're right. I mean, Isabel, unfortunately, I mean, it's happening in many parts of the world. You know what I mean? And I think collectively, I mean, as an educationist, I think we can raise our voice for all this, that look, if we are making a policy, it should be based upon language needs analysis. You know what I mean? For example, there's a very famous quote when we say a friend in need is a friend indeed. And I tweet it in a way, a language in need is a language indeed. You know what I mean? So, I mean, if, for example, might be there are many students in Colombia, which or in Peru, I mean, for them, there's no need to learn English language. So are we making our policies based upon those needs? Yeah, so this is just my comment. Probably we can make something to make our governments realize that, look, no, we need to go in the right direction to achieve some standards. And we should focus more on learners' needs analysis, because without a proper needs analysis, we cannot achieve the end product which we want to achieve at the end. Probably this is what my thought is.
This is why we need baselines, Rana, and I totally agree with you. But because there are some needs that are invisible. For instance, I have a nephew. He's 10 years old. He's in 6th grade, and he loves games. I'm not going to say he's a gamer, but he loves games. And what has motivated him to learn English? It's because he wanted to have access to all the YouTube videos telling him tips. So in the end, we don't analyze those needs that are invisible to education. I mean, no one is going to set up a curriculum because students want to know the tips for gaming. I mean, however, it's a motivator because there is an actual need. If I ask him, he is in need. He's in need to understand the videos.
Yeah, so, that's ESP actually, English for specific purposes. You know what I mean?
Of course. So in the very end, I think governments, what they want is to, as I say, secure the future citizens to be able to be part of this global world, where there is a common language that English has become. And it is precisely because of that they think that there must be some sort of English learning, some sort of English acquirement. However, the needs are different. And in our countries, and I think I mentioned that in Colombia, there is a policy in place. In that policy, and because of that policy, you have to have a certain level of English to graduate from university.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Isabel. Thank you, Rana. We have 5 more minutes for anyone who wants to make a comment. Brief one, please, or a question. Anybody?
Me, can I?
Of course.
Okay, so we have to take into consideration that all assessment is a way to improve. So, and we have, many people have the idea that assessment is just to know what the students know, but not what we can do with what they know and what they need to know in order to improve our practice. And that could be the best idea could be that, okay, that assessment only gives us some piece of information that we need in order to continue and move forward, and or even to go back, because there are things and aspects of the language that the students haven't mastered yet. But the problem is that in our curriculums, in our syllabus, in our curricula, sorry, people who could design this curricula do not, they just have a straight line ahead. They never think about going back to reinforce things that students have not learned. And that's the problem, because unfortunately in our countries, we don't have teachers, real teachers, designing policies. And it happens in Ecuador, I think it happens in Peru, it happens in Bolivia, and it happens in many places. They are politicians, there are engineers designing educational programs. There are
Very valid point. Very valid point.
Anybody
Very
can
valid.
do, anybody can do, but not a teacher.
Very valid point. Very valid.
And that happens in everything. And then say, okay, so in order to graduate from university, you need to have a B2. But then nobody pays attention to who is, we open all the academies and institutions just to get a B2 with 2 or 3 months of study. And nobody pays attention and nobody controls those things. So a student can go to a class for 2, 3, 4 months, and then I get a B2 level certificate. That happens in Ecuador. And that's the idea is that we need a real sense of learning anything, not only English, anything with real standards and with policies to control those standards. But we don't have them. And in order to become an undergraduate student in linguistics in my university and the university I studied, you needed to have a B2 just to begin. Now, public universities in Ecuador are asking A2 levels in order to become a teacher. So do you see? So that is the difference. So, and if that the whole system is bad. So what can we do as teachers from our classrooms? Start making the difference.
Thank you so much, dear Edison. Juan, could you say something about the reality in Colombia, if you allow me, Isabel? Juan?
Yes, no, I do agree with all what you've been saying is very similar here in Colombia. I mean, if you want to graduate, you must have a B2 certificate, yes, from any career. And we would also say that what Edison said, unfortunately, we have whoever in this ministry, yes, for the policies, but not a teacher, yes. Now, someone who's been researching about those policies that could be the best for our students, and it's very similar to all what you've been saying.
Okay, thank you so much, Juan. Arturo was doing some survey a few months ago.
Only a brief comment. Yeah, only a brief comment. I believe that according to what Rana and Juan said and Edison, I think that the problem starts that, okay, teachers are the experts in designing the processes and everything. But you know what we lack? We lack ELT management, or we lack a good manager. We call it in Spanish, gestión. If you would put those two things together and having the experience of the teachers and all the years of training that we have had together with people who can, how do you say this, reach the goals that we want to, based on the experience of the teachers, we would have a better result. But it's impossible to have teachers in charge of preparing everything and trying to implement it. You need something's missing there from my point of view and based on experience. I've been running a center for almost 30 years. And why did it work? Because we had someone who was the expert in education, and I was in charge of the management part, okay? And I said, okay, you go for what you know, and I go for what I know. We don't interfere. And I help you, and I put into practice what you want. And believe me, it really worked. So why not at a national policy? That's what we're lacking. That's all. Teachers are very important, but we need a combination there. That's my personal belief. I might be wrong, but I think that's what's lacking. Politicians is getting worse every year. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Arturo. And I can certify that what he's saying is true. When I was very, very, very young, a few years ago, I used to attend his institute, and then I learned the wow, and I said, wow, and I didn't know anything about gestión and what Arturo was speaking, but it's true. Everything has to be organized. Everyone has to respect everyone. If you are there, is because I trust you. I have confidence that you are going to do your job right.
That's the starting point, Jaime. If I don't
Yes.
trust you, if we don't trust our experts,
Who's
there's
going
nothing.
to trust you? Right.
Who's going to trust you? That's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
that's true. Well, my dear Isabel, thank you so much. Thank you everyone in Facebook Live. Thank you everyone here for your time and your expertise. I always have this confusion, your final words or your last words. I'm so sorry.
Maybe both. Maybe
Final.
both.
Yes,
Maybe
final.
both. Yeah, maybe
Final,
both.
right? Final.
Yes, final,
No,
only final.
I just do it on purpose so you pay attention that we don't know when we are leaving this beautiful world, and we have to be
You
thankful.
were just checking if we were listening, right?
Yes, Irma.
Yes,
Yes.
but Jaime, you don't know
Roxy?
exactly when our final words will be the last ones.
That's
So
why
we
I'm-
have to be always very smart with our
Yes.
final words.
Way to go.
We never know.
That's it.
Nowadays, it's impossible.
Very good, Rosie.
That's why I'm
Thank you.
I don't know if there's 1 point for Roxy, 0 for Jaime, Irma. Anyway.
No, we always tie, Jaime. Don't worry. This is
Thank
not
you,
a competition.
thank
It's
you.
teamwork. Teamwork.
Yeah, Ruben wants to.
Someday you're going to be goleado.
Well, I promise I will continue saying final words or last words, Isabel. Go on, Isabel.
Just to say thank you, thank you, thank you. You're so generous. Thank you.
God,
Thank you. Great
God is
community.
generous.
Thank you, Isabel.
Isabel, God is generous.
Good job, Isabel.
It's him who does this possible, right? First him, then you, and then me at the end. So thank you so much, dear Isabel, Gloria in Ecuador, Raj in Canada,
Thank you.
Carmen in UK. I would like to invite you, Carmen, to give a workshop next semester if you can, if you are able to, if you want to. Arturo, you too, please, you are invited. Edison is presenting in May. Roxy is presenting next semester. Rana is taking part in our international conference in Universidad de Piura. Ruben will be soon with us in Zoom. Luis Bermudez in Ecuador, Juan in Colombia, Micaela in Peru, Rache, hello Rache in Ecuador. And who's this person? Ah, and Irma, hello Irma in Ecuador. Thank you everyone, and
Hello.
see you
Thank you, Jaime.
next Sunday for Mother's Day. We will have
Yes.
a beautiful presentation next Sunday. Thank you so much, Isabel.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Isabel. Thank you, Jaime. Thank you,
May
everybody.
Thank
God
you.
bless
Thank
you
you.
all.
Lovely to
bless
see you all.
God bless you all.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye
Stay
bye.
safe.
Stay safe.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye bye. Thank you so much, Isabel. I hope you had a good time. This is a great audience, as you can see. It made a miracle. Carmen is with us. I know you were going through difficult times, Carmen, and I hope you are much better today. Your microphone, Carmen. Yeah, technology.
I couldn't change my name. Obviously, I'm not David. I couldn't change. I don't know why. Well, yes, I'm so happy. Isabel, I haven't seen you for ages. And Jaime, you know, I'm so happy. These 2 years have been really a roller coaster. But I've learned so much about well-being. I have changed my life completely. I'm not a workaholic now.
And maybe, Carmen, that was God's objective.
It's definitely
his aim.
Definitely to be back in England, because I always have, you know, you always, when you are an immigrant in another country, your dream is always to go back home. And I did it. I went back home and it was good and bad. But later on, I came back to England and now I say, this is really home. England at the moment is home. I've got so much help. It's amazing what this country can offer you in terms of the cancer, being a cancer patient. But you learn so much about solidarity, about charities, They do such an amazing job. So
So
I
then,
would really like to help Peru and get ideas and things.
so then, Carmen, te comprometo. How would you say that in English?
I get you. I cannot even translate now.
Don't worry, I can't either. So I would like to invite you to give a testimony of your cultural humanity.
Do you know what I would love to talk, Jaime? At the moment, I'm doing research.
Okay.
I mean, I've transformed my life. I'm teaching just some hours, but I'm devoted to doing research, and I'm also doing voluntary work with Peru. I'm still very, very much involved with pedagogic institutes.
Okay, so then that's the way I learned to know about you when I wrote an article in the newspaper.
Really?
And you, of course, and you wrote a comment, and I say, "Who's this woman? Why is she criticizing me?"
Oh, that was at the beginning when I just arrived.
And I say, "Who's she?" And then I say, she's the master of master, director of director. And I say, okay. But then it's part of the learning, Carmen. And I'm happy that finally you made it and you are here with us. And again, my invitation is open to be with us. I will contact you.
Yes,
and
please.
we will have you next semester, August, September, who knows?
August, September, brilliant.
Okay, I will write to you.
Excellent. And is that okay? Can I continue with Isabel, or should I
Of course, but first
Yes.
let me say goodbye and close the recording. Thank you so much, Isabel.
Brilliant. Thanks a
Don't
lot
go.
for your time.
Thank you, Carmen. Don't go. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Jaime.
For your
No,
time,
thank you,
Jaime.
Isabel. Thank you.
And enthusiasm.
Thanks a lot. Thank God. Thank God. Thank God. Everything.
Yes, definitely.